Oh yeah. This is Drake Drakey, and welcome back to The Gag Order. Shut up and listen already. And we are finally back with episode number 2, entitled It's All Relative. Because actually I wanted to discuss the different family concepts. I thought I would just call it, all in the family. But then I thought, what about extended families and such and such? Maybe I call it a family affair. But then I thought, what about the different types of friendships that act as a family unit? Maybe I call it runs in the family. But then it came down to, either way, it's all relative. But the thing is, where to begin? I guess when you start a project like this, you have to start thinking from the outside in. I figure when I give the community fellowship some love, the loyal crew, TLC. What about your friends? But I better stop before T-Boz and Chili sue me for copyright infringement. But family. According to Wikipedia, family is a group of people related either by consanguinity, recognized by birth, affinity, marriage, or other relationship, or co-residence. So basically, anyone who is close to where you are is considered family. So that's right, ladies. Now that guy stalking you can now claim you on his taxes. Minor victories. But even those associates on the bottom of the friendship chain can now be considered fam. That's right. Even the neighborhood head cases. I mean, you know the types. Especially my neighborhood. There's always that type, that guy that professes to know so much about the law and what police can and can't do and what judges aren't allowed to do. And he talks and strangers hear him talking like, wow, this guy must really know his stuff. But the hood be like, yeah, you know so much about the law. Why you always in jail? Research? You've been out a year now and your mail's still being forwarded to your cell block. But people have that hood logic, And people like homie would sound emphatic whenever he spoke his hood logic, He get hyper and he get mad. He'd be talking like, yo, I'll get cray cray, And then when he said he always sounded extra. Because he sees I get cray cray, he sounded extra because when he spoke, he stuttered. It just really sounded like he was emphasizing just how super cray cray he was. But his most compelling nugget of brilliance was this. He said, if you're planning on doing some kind of illegal activity with someone you're not sure about, if you ask them, are they a cop? Then by law, they have to tell you. Because if they deny that they're cops and you do your dirt and they arrest you, they can't because it's entrapment. I'm like, no, that's just stupid. The hell kind of law is that? Like the laws of the street? Entrapment. Like, what, did he tell you to do the crime and then arrest you when you did it to make his quota? You know what entrapment is? Doing the crime. Because even if he said he wasn't a cop, then he can always say he arrested you as like a citizen's arrest. Entrapment. Like police are bound by law to be honest. Like, really? Have you not followed history? Dude, if that was true, no police officer would ever be able to go undercover. Because that would be the first question the criminal element would ask the new guy. Hey, are you a cop? Yes. I guess I'll just go now. If undercover cop has to be honest on the job, ain't no crime gonna get solved. Think about it. If that was true, the movie Deep Cover would only have been 10 minutes long. That movie would have ended before the theme song came on. I can feel. Are you a cop? Yes. Screen credits. You've been pissed as hell. You didn't get a chance to hear the theme song. You mean there would have been a chance that Snoop Dogg could have potentially not come out? What? I do not want to live in a world with no G-Funk. Shout out to Snoop Dogg. Shout out to Warren G. Rest in peace, Nate Dogg. But you got to know who your friends are. Like, friends are supposed to have your back, But the big thing now is about friends snitching. Like, snitching is dangerous. Because they got those cryptic sayings about snitching. Like, hey, you better remember, snitches get stitches. Like, but you shot me. You think I'm worried about stitches at this point? I'm more worried about sutras. As a matter of fact, that would even sound more terrifying. Someone tell you, hey, you remember, Police collusion leads to sutures and blood transfusions. They go, oh, that shut me up. I ain't saying nothing. Like, officer, I ain't seen nothing. I don't know nothing. I don't even know English. Other than this phrase I'm speaking now that I translated from Kazakhstan, that place where Borat's from. Really? Hell yeah. Like, then how did you know what really meant? Like, Uzi boozy shanana, uchi wali wali bang bang, boom shakalaka boom, shake 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 the room, whatever it takes. So snitching, you have to know your priorities. You would think if you'd snitch, you'd want to be inconspicuous, which, if you really think about it, inconspicuous is too big and complicated a word to actually be so. But seriously, you can't snitch and be famous. That won't make any sense. That's not snitching. That's like bragging. Because there are people who are serving time now for not snitching. People are willing to hold it down for their crew. Some people are doing time for being stupid, loyal to the game. And then some people are locked up for just being stupid and loyal. Like the cops are banging on some nefarious person's door, and thug number one tells thug number two, like, hey, hide the stash, do this. And the cops arrest them and put them in separate squad cars and bring them to the station. And thug number one is confident he gonna beat this rap because the police got nothing on him. Thug number two is nervous because they told him in the squad car, and you get to the station, everyone's getting a cavity search. Now, if you heard the first podcast I did, you know how I feel. I think that whole process is full of the process. So after the interrogation, they're informed that they're being arrested because they found drugs with thug number two and stay here and wait to be transported. And the thug's like, yeah, right, cop, you lying. You trying to frame us. You searched us outside my front door and put handcuffs on me and searched me in front of the neighbors and eyewitnesses, and you didn't find nothing. And I got witnesses to prove that you planted those drugs. And the cop is indignant. He planted it. You trying to say cops are freaks? He walks away mad, leaving them in the holding cell. And thug number one is like, what does he mean by freaks? Thug number two was like, well, maybe because they found the drugs in me. I'm like, in you? Wait, what? Before the cops came through the door, I told you explicitly how to hide the drugs. I told you exactly what to do. I did. You told me to put it someplace safe. No, I told you to put it in the safe. Because I knew they couldn't seize it without the safe combination and the search warrant. So it ain't safe no more. Dude, look at our business. How are we going to sell customers smelly cocaine? How you going to play off the aftermath? Hey, it's just cocaine with sprinkles. Like, oh man, dude, my bad. We still cool, right? We still cool. Like, nigga, I ain't trying to give you a pound after that. After what you done compounded, this whole thing is on you. This is your fault. The drugs were found in your essence and DNA. You gonna take the rap for this. And he take the entire blame. He didn't rat nobody out. He do time for the bag of drugs. And since it could actually fit, he couldn't acquit. But in prison, he became known. He became known since he's in there alone because he refused to snitch on his boy. He was respected. He was deemed like a boss. Until they found out actually how he got caught. And then his nickname became Sweet Cheeks. Hey, don't do the time if you can't handle prison joke time. There's so many levels of like snitching now. Like they say, you have snitching and dry snitching. Like, what the hell is dry snitching? That sounds extra scary, because it sounds a lot like dry humping. Yo, dude, that guy's been dry snitching on you. Like, what? Where he at? He better not be standing behind me. Dry snitching, meaning indirectly or inadvertently telling secrets or offenses to a person of authority. Huh? Like you talk in your sleep in the back of a squad car. I mean, sure, that's what he's telling the hood. Hey, the streets are talking. I'm just a translator. Like, yeah. What, you translating street to cop? And that term used to confuse me growing up. The streets are talking, Because I grew up, watching PBS shows. Like, remember Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and the Neighborhood of Make-Believe. So I actually thought the street was alive. It could actually talk to you. Because then I start seeing homeless people outside talking to themselves. Like, man, maybe they're talking to the street. Now, every time I go outside, I expect that to happen to me. Like, I really thought I could be walking out here. Hello, Drake. Like, hi, Pavement. How's your mom? She's fine. Even had like my own Reading Rainbow-esque theme music, Talking to the lanes, street knowledge for the brain. So take a peek into the street, the learning pavement. Especially when I hear someone say, yo, money, I learned from that all from being in the street, because these streets were talking. Like, word? You talk to the streets too? And the neighborhood kids thought, like, oh, Drake must be cool. Until they realized I meant that literally. And he was just thinking of his little widow. I was like, the streets. Streets are my friends, I go outside like, hey, little Drake. Yes, Pavement. You don't need to be out here in these streets. Do you remember the golden rule, little Drake? Yes, Pavement. Be focused on the blackboards and chalk, not on the Ave being in asphalt. But the neighborhood kids notice you, and they're like, yo, look at that kid. I think he's homeless. He talking to himself. Like, what the hell? Like, he talking to his feet. Now, as a kid growing up, like my father and his side of the family, all from Philadelphia. So my childhood, holidays, vacations, and all my summers all spent in Philly. Now, not to age myself, but I got my very first set of DJ equipment as a baby. I'm saying that so I don't age myself. I mean, I wasn't even a teenager yet. But when I first got turntables and hearing rap on the radio, and what you do is switch from DJ Red Alert on 98.7 KISS FM to 107.5 WBLS with Mr. Magic and Marley Marl. And you go back and forth between the shoe shows, whenever commercial was on, like, oh, time to change the channel. But I must have had my DJ equipment for like a year. And then Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince came out. And I became the biggest DJ Jazzy Jeff fan in New York. Especially on one Friday night on the Rap Attack show, WBLS FM. Mr. Magic had his trademark, this is a world premiere. A world premiere. And to this day, I haven't heard this song in years, but I remember the Fresh Prince's lines to this day. At his line, here's a day that shouldn't be forgot about the day my DJ turned into an Autobot. He got struck by lightning in an electrical storm and got on the wheels of steel and prepared to transform. And all you heard was, I was like, how the hell is he doing that with a record? I was like, what is it? I was hooked after that, Every scratch I ever tried to do after that was some variation of the Transformer scratch. No more cutting, no more baby scratch. Like, no, everything had to be a Transformer scratch. And the next day, I went out and bought the Rock the House tape. Yes, it was a cassette tape back then. Well, my mother bought it. I don't know, how's a baby going to leave the house with money and go to the store? Point is, I had the tape from that long ago. And no one even knows what a cassette tape is anymore. So now I got to stop making fun of my brother, who actually gave me the turntables. But actually, when he was DJing, he was able to cut and scratch on 8 tracks. That's another story. So anyway, now I heard New York DJs on the radio. I heard Red Alert, Chuck Chillout, Marley Marl, Teddy Ted. But I had never seen a DJ actually DJing and scratching until there's a show in New York, Video Music Box, and they had the Jive RCA Artist Music Review with all the Jive RCA artists performing live. Kool Moe Dee, I think he closed the show. He had his hit, How You Like Me Now, and Go See the Doctor. But the hype about it is everyone was waiting to see Boogie Down Productions. That was the anticipation. It was their second album. My Philosophy was, the video was, everybody was waiting to see that because My Philosophy was hot. The radio was playing, still #1. Jimmy, Stop the Violence as well. But the reason that people were really checking, because not only was the first album, Criminal Minded, awesome, but Scott LaRock had just passed previously. So the people were saying, like, what are they going to do without Scott LaRock? And it wasn't Scott LaRock doing the music. And then it was like, it was rumors like, oh, Scott LaRock finished the album, or he did most of the album. So everybody wanted to hear BDP's By All Means Necessary. I don't know why I'm getting tongue twisted. But Quiet as It's Kept that night, also on the bill was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. And they started this show, they had the hip hop dances going for a while Jazzy Jeff was mixing the beat, and it was his birthday. And then they bring out the beatboxer, a guy named Reddy Roxy, who killed it doing the beatbox. He started doing Sanford and Son, then flipped it and did Sanford and Son underwater. Then he did the Donkey Kong arcade game. But what Jazzy Jeff did, he actually paid tribute to the jive artists Houdini who weren't there at the time by cutting up their single "Be Yourself," And he's backspinning, he's catching the beat, Grandmaster D, if you please, down, down, if you please, he's doing that. And then the Fresh Prince starts yelling out, faster. He starts catching, if you please, And now that's what I said. I had the records like that's what I started working on. I was like, if Jazzy Jeff is catching it, if you, it's like now I got to catch if, so I can be like Jazzy Jeff. But also during that show, he actually broke it down like if you please. So I was like, wow, that's all we practice that little routine, And after that performance, I couldn't wait to do it at parties. But I would get on people's nerves whenever I played that song, because I have the records going for like 5 minutes and have yet to play the song. And the crowds would get pissed, they're like, hey, DJ, you mind playing the song, if you please? It gets so bad, I go to a party and start setting up the equipment, and the person paying me like, hey, why don't you come in the kitchen? I'm going to give you part of the money up front, I do that and then go back and setting up. And I'm playing records, and right when I want to play Houdini tonight, I find out 2 records are missing. Only those 2 Houdini songs, Now I'm heated. Organizer, well, maybe you put the records in a different crate. I'm like, yeah, I'm a DJ. I know exactly what records are in what crate and in which order they're in. So I'm mad, so the whole party, I'm packing up everything afterwards, mad that someone stole my records. And the owner's like, hey, I found your 2 records. They were in the bathroom. Like, how the records get in the bathroom? Plus, I'd already been in their bathroom twice during that night, so I ain't seen no records in the bathroom. And he said, well, did you look behind the toilet water tank? Like, why the hell was search behind the toilet bowl tank to look for records? And 2, who would put records behind the toilet water tank? Then I realized people literally put those records there to hide them from me so I won't be able to mix if you please. It's like a bunch of haters. And it's hard to forgive people who would do that to Houdini, but one love. But even my mother would complain about the music, back then, Will you turn that down? No one wants to hear that noise. I'm like, but Mother, it's the Transformer scratch. Well, if you don't turn down the volume, I'm going to transform those turntables down to the curb. And you'd be mad, like, man, parents just don't understand. Now, here's what I didn't understand. I'm on YouTube, I see Jazzy Jeff with this English interviewer who's asking Jeff, who's paying homage to Jeff. He truthfully says, we have this title here, and we want to know, is it self-proclaimed or is it official that you are the world's best hip-hop and R&B DJ? And Jeff said, like, well, I never really looked at it like that. I just enjoy what I do. I leave that up to everybody else. It's not fair for me to say I'm the best DJ. Because like in sports, anyone can have a bad game. Yeah. Says Tom Brady, who never had to face the New York Giants. Of course, my Philly cousins get mad. And don't forget about the Pats having to face the Eagles. Yeah. Well, what happened when they faced them the first time? You finally beat him that he got old? My cousins are big up to the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles. My Philly cousins. Now, I don't know what happened to Jeff that day. I think maybe he ate a bad cheesesteak or something. But Jazzy Jeff is the world's greatest DJ because I think I might have just been spoiled because when the first person you ever see rock a party is Jazzy Jeff, everyone after that fails in comparison. I'd go to the junior high school prom and the high school dances. It's like, these DJs suck, That's like if you saw the very first time you saw a basketball ever being played was when Michael Jordan scored 55 on the Knicks. And then every other time you saw basketball, it was this year's Knicks. That's no longer the same. It's like you become spoiled by greatness. Now, it wasn't until years later that I seen DJ Scratch, a VPMD, doing the Big Daddy Kane routine where he ducks under the tables and he rises up with the Jason mask and he's cutting up Friday the 13th. I'ma play Jason. Play Jason. I'ma play Jason. Play killed it. Or when Video Music Box would actually start showing DJ competitions. And that's when they showed DJ Steve D of Clark Kent Superman, doing the first scene beat juggle ever. And he's, Clark Kent's Superman was with Scratch, Clark Kent, Steve D, and he's Superman. And Superman was a DC comic, but growing up, I was always a Marvel kid. So my group, I was X-Men with my group. Those are the DJs I saw, Now, when I say X-Men, I'm referring to the comic book age, If there's new slang, as I mentioned in the first podcast, the new slang changing, I don't know if that, maybe that has some other meaning, but I'm talking about the comic books. I'm not talking about anyone who's going through transitional reassignment surgery. No, I'm talking about the X-Men comic books, which spawned one of the greatest DJ crews ever. Okay, now it's known as the Executioners due to copyright issues, but growing up, they were the X-Men. So I'm talking about the legendary Grandmaster DJ Rock Raider, who was nasty. He's just, rest in peace to that brother. DJ Mr. Sinister. I remember in 96, I wanted to learn how to DJ. I wanted to actually see one of those DMC DJ competitions. So I actually bought the video for 96. I went to a store in the Bronx called Beat Street, which no longer exists. Yes, they had to beat it. And I remember that it came in a red and white VHS cassette box. That's how long ago as it was. 1996 DMC US Finals, and Mr. Sinister came in second. Now the guy who won, I remember, I think it was a Detroit, and the big thing that he did was he had a drum beat playing on one turntable, and on the other turntable he had a record that just had tone sound effects on each record track. So he picked up the needle and dropped the needle on different tones to go along with the drum beat that was playing on the other record. Now, that was really dope because no one ever seen anything like that before. I mean, keep in mind, this is before DJ Software and Serato and Cue Points, where you just press the button, they had a line of, you got to be able to do this live. So, this is DJing with old-fashioned playing records. So this guy was really innovative. But Mr. Sinister, you know how some DJs are mixing and catching the beat, and they'll be fancy by grabbing the fader with the hand behind the back or grabbing the fader with the hand between the legs? Mr. Sinister did that. And you know how some people beat juggle. They beat juggle nowadays? Mr. Sinister did that. But Mr. Sinister started grabbing the fader behind his back, between his legs, and beat juggling at the same time. Nobody did that. And let me paraphrase, nobody does that. And then he broke it down to the basic beat juggle, And I'm like, that should have won it right there. As complicated as that is, still not done today. And then there's the legendary Rob Swift. And I seen him on YouTube DJing on Funkmaster Flex's 5 minutes of funk video. And I was like, this guy is nasty on the 1 and 2. Stuff he's doing. And I was like, I remember that name. I was like, I can't picture him for nothing. But why do I remember that name? So I had let me just go on YouTube and look up his name. And then I saw an old clip of him from the 90s. Like, yo, that was that dude. That's the dude from the X-Men, But back then, the guy looked like mad young. And he was the X-Men, Back then, he was like tall, skinny dude, no facial hair and the afro. But had mad skills. You look at him now, I was like, was he drafted into the army? Like he started lifting weights or something. Like people were trying to steal his turntables. Look at him now. He like Rambo with a Rick Ross beard. But in all seriousness, he's actually teaching people to DJ. He has this brolic army of his DJs. He's actually teaching a course at the new school, a course called Advanced Skills. So if anyone wants to learn how to DJ or be better and really dope at being a DJing, why not attend the class of a living legend and become legendary? Because once you learn from a legend and become legendary, you'll be about a fourth as good as Rob Swift is. No, but seriously, big shout out to Rob Swift. But every region had their own dope DJs. Like Cali had DJs back then. DJs Aladdin, Joe Cooley, up to the Battle Cats, the Qbert, the Babu. I mean, it goes on and on. But for me, growing up back then, and every time I went to Philly, I was like, wow, Philly's got the best DJs. Because not only they had Jazzy Jeff, you can go up to Miz, but you had Cash Money, who I actually finally seen DJ. Like after years, I had his tape. I actually bought again the cassette tape of Cash Money and Marvelous because I like that song, Find an Ugly Woman, and I don't believe it, but I like the song. And they were on Sleeping Bag Records. Now, Sleeping Bag Records were funny because, the paper inserts that come in and you read it, you want to find the shout outs and what they got to say. Sleeping bag inserts would have advertisements for other sleeping bag artists. You trying to learn about this artist, they trying to sell you on the other artists. That's called cross promotion. Like, no, that's called being thirsty. Sleeping bag needs a thermos. But now I keep them like now. I like to be able to get back into DJing, but records are now obsolete. Now you have to get DJ software and a brand new computer that can have space to carry MP3s instead of records. And then you look at it and then you find Jazzy Jeff has his own DJ controller, which is basically a controller, is basically a mixer that has 2 mini platters that are used as turntables. And this comes with DJ Jazzy Jeff pre-made scratches. Like, come on. How are you not the greatest if you got all this? And, as I say, and for years the Press Prince is always saying how DJ Jeff is the greatest DJ. So was the Prince lying? Was Will acting back then? Really? I know he's a great actor, but he was just a great actor. How come he didn't win for Ali? He should have won for Ali. But you know why he didn't win? Yeah, because he's black. Yeah. I know Denzel won that year for Training Day. What does that have to do with this argument? Yeah. But shout out to Will Smith. Shout out to Denzel Washington. Mount Vernon, that's like the Bronx, but with houses. These are just jokes, jokes, except the Jazzy Jeff part, You want to say you're not the greatest? Okay, but there's only one DJ who's magnificent. That's right. The magnificent DJ Junebug of North Dakota. No, it's you, Jeff. But I better be mindful with the jokes, It's all love. But I remember, like I said, I spent my family a lot of time in Philly. I remember the slogan in Philly was the city of brotherly love. And I was in Philly. I thought that was sarcasm, Philly was no joke back then. I remember Philly, my earliest memories of Philly was like how almost every street was named after a tree. You go down Chestnut and you keep going down, you pass Walnut, you go down, you avoid Elm, go past Cedar. I'm like, what's going to happen when you run out of trees? You going to start using plants? You get to Spruce Street, you go by Ray's Barbershop and you take that poinsettia side street, until you get to Dandelion Alley, I remember cheesesteaks were known as hoagies. That's how far back I go. And I was a big comic book collector. And I remember the mom and pop corner stores, they would sell like 2 comic books in a pristine plastic wrap, but with the covers of the comic books ripped off. I don't know, maybe they couldn't sell it legally that way. But you get these awesome comics, these vintage comic books nowadays that would be worth a lot of money that was sold to you brand new, damaged. Because Philly was no joke. Actually, remember Easter, I was there in 1986 during the Easter vacation in Philly, and my family lived on Carpenter Street. And I go to Philly, I go with a basketball, and I cross the street to Cobb's Creek just to use the basketball court. That year, my grandparents told me I can't go outside to play basketball for the whole vacation. Because 4 or 5 blocks over, there was a group called Operation Move that was causing a stir, apparently. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to go 4 or 5 blocks over. I'm just going to go across the street and shoot some hoops. Hey, if they come to the basketball court, I'll move. My grandmother wouldn't let me go out. So I'm like, is this how I'm going to spend my whole vacation? Being immobile because of move? So whenever, like, you see your cousins, like whenever I go to Philly, I see my cousin Jay, and he had DJ equipment. And he's from Philly, so I'm like, hey, Jay, you know Jazzy Jeff? Is Jazzy Jeff doing any parties we can go to? And cousin Jay is like, yeah, just because Jeff lives in Philly doesn't mean I know him, Dr. J plays for the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't hang out with him either. I'm like, well, of course not. Your layups get muffed every time you come in the lane. Now, worst part about that, unfortunate part, is the next month after that, the police and government actually made Operation Move quite literally and damaged the whole neighborhood as they decided to drop a bomb, literally drop a bomb in the neighborhood to remove the situation only to make a worse situation. Did you really think this through? To permanently alter lives? Like, how do you plan to solve that? The aftermath, the shattered lives and dreams. Who do the police think they're going to pick up the pieces? Apparently, they must have thought the coroner. Yeah, that's like the saddest moment that I've personally had to go through, witness in Philly. So I like to say rest in peace to everyone who lost their life during that time for that. All done by officials, official thugs. But I learned that Philly was thugged out anyway at an early age. Like the houses there, or in that area I was in, they're all semi-attached, and the garage was like on the inside of the block. So the garage from Carpenter Street faced the garage on Christian Street, which was behind it. Like between the block, you have this middle alleyway for the garages. And I'm like 10 or 11, and I had this black BMX bike, sorry. And I was so happy about it because the bike had handbrakes, which was only something that you got on like 10 or 12 speed bikes. So, back then you wanted to stop a bike, you had to pedal backwards, which just ended up breaking your neck. So this was like innovative. So I'm riding my bike around the block and around the block, try to be fancy. I try to cut through the alleyway when two guys come out and jump in front of my bike and ask to get a ride on my bike. And I was like, well, I'm not finished riding yet. Now, I knew what they were attempting, but I thought, being like they were like 18 or 20, they'd feel guilty for trying to rob a kid. Not Philadelphians. They started pulling the bike with me on it, trying to push me off it. And being a kid with a witty mouth didn't help because panic-stricken wit just upsets gangsters, Because I was just trying to ask questions like, well, how are you both going to ride it? Wouldn't that look kind of questionable? So now the guy's getting mad, and one of them pulls out a weapon on a kid. He said he's going to use it on me. This is like, if you don't get off this bike, I'm going to mess you up. Me still being innocent. I'm like, so you're trying to rob me? I know, right? Attempted robbery in a street alley, in a street between Christian and Carpenter. Well, obviously these people didn't know Jesus. But when you're in peril and your life flashes before your eyes, and when you're 10, it just goes by really quick, I'm just thinking in my mind like, man, I never had a dog. I'm going to miss cartoons. I had to learn to walk. I was knock-kneed. I had to wear heavy braces on my leg for a whole year. I moved around like I was baby RoboCop. But being a comedian, I always had like this innate acting ability. So when they trying to pull me off the bike, I'm like looking behind them like I'm looking at something and just in a focused dead space. And they're looking at what I'm looking at. So I just spoke into dead space. And I was like, yeah, I think they're trying to rob me. So they must have got nervous and let go of the bike to turn around and see who I was talking about. And when they let go and start turning around, I rode straight through them. And I am racing home. You heard this said, put the pedal to the metal? Yeah. And they running behind me, but I'm on a bike, so of course I'm going to have a lead. But I get to my stoop and I jump off the bike and, I'm running up the steps of the bike and I get into the door and they get up to the bottom of the stoop and they hear them yelling like, yeah, you better not tell nobody, and you better not tell your father. Which now in retrospect, I should have told my father because everyone in the neighborhood was afraid of my father. But in my mind, I was like, yo, these thugs know where I live. I ain't saying jack or riding the bike ever again. But now my grandmother's asking, hey, you going to ride your bike today? Like, no, I'm good. And she wouldn't let up. Like, oh, why don't you go out today and ride your bike? It's nice out. Like, no, I don't feel like riding. But she kept on. She kept acting on like thinking like she's trying to punk me, It's been a whole week. Aren't you going to ride your bike? It's been a while since you rode it. Hey, do you want me to come out so you can ride your bike? Like, hey, I don't want to ride this stupid bike. I'm good. So now my grandmother's like, oh, it's a stupid bike, huh? Well, I guess we just going to have to get you a brand new, more awesome bike so you can show it off. I'm like, lady, you trying to get me killed? I'm going to need a bulletproof bike that comes with a posse. I've never been on a bike since, I ride an exercising bike with a machete now, just in case something pop off. And it's my exercising bike. Even a scooter would give me PTSD. But that was the Philly life, boy. Philly is, and the first time I heard the word brolic, I heard brolic, I thought it was just an adjective of Philly. Perfect example, hanging out with my cousin Noel in his neighborhood to play basketball. Like back then, when I would play basketball, I was a kid, I was playing basketball every day, I had a little handle, I had a deep jump shot, I could hold my own on the court. But that's in New York. You go to the court in Philly, it's a whole different ball game. Like New York, you play a game called 21. In Philly, the game of 21 is called, it's called Rough House. Which is, if you ever saw the movie The Longest Yard, imagine it with basketball. It's like 21, but with no calls. So let's just say they play rather enthusiastically. So I'm like, I got a handle, like I'm driving to the lane and I get hit to the ground. you know, and I call foul. And the person that shoved me to the ground is going to ask, how was that a foul? And I'm like, because I'm bleeding, miss. You know, and she going to catch an attitude. Like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, there's your tooth. And that's like the norm there. They referring to my cousin Noel. Like, yo, what's up with your cousin? Like, oh, he lives with his mom in New York. Now, I don't know if they still play Rough House down there. I don't even know if it's changed, but back then it was rough. I can just see it now. Foul. Foul? What do you mean foul? Like, you hit me with the butt of your gun. But did I shoot you? No, then it's not a foul. And that's what happened. I get in one slight altercation and the family got scared and said, you're going back to the Bronx with your mom to prepare for the witness relocation program. But then again, sutures and blood transfusions. But to be home, because I had geeky friends, geeky friends I had, who all understood the importance of comic books. That was my whole allowance right there every week. I had to get every version of Marvel that came out. I collect the 4 books of Spider-Man, Captain America, X-Men, X-Factor, Fantastic Four, The Avengers, Alpha Flight no longer exists, Massive Kung Fu no longer exists, G.I. Joe, Power Man and Iron Fist, Cloak and Dagger, Gru, Moon Knight, Howard the Duck, Spider-Man. I had it all. Every month I just had a collection of comic books. And you know what's bad? You know it's bad if you were buying Marvel Universe. That is a boring comic book, which I was collecting. That's just the book to help normalize anyone who was way into Dungeons and Dragons board game to transition them into liking women. Because all the Marvel Universe comic books is just an alphabetical listing of every comic book character's stats. Like so-and-so's fighting level is this, and their technique is that, and their power rating is this on a scale of this, and it's comparable to this person. So that's all it was. Stats of different categories and comparisons. And that's when you find out who has a comic book Jones bad, especially when it leads into fights over comic book discussions. It's bad. You start hearing, what? Yo, ain't nobody stronger than the Hulk, my nigga. Nobody. Oh, yeah, well, I think the Thing could beat the Hulk. What? Are you serious? Yeah, I think you smoking that thing. Nobody can beat the Hulk. He is the Incredible Hulk. You never hear people say the Incredible Thing. No, it's more like, ew, what's that thing? Nobody can beat the Hulk. The Thing is just a bunch of blocks of rock. Yeah, and everyone knows you can't hurt rock, so Thing is stronger. Yeah. Well, of course you would say that. Thing is stronger. You think that because you're a blockhead. But then I see ladies coming around, and I try to be suave and smooth. So I come in and say, hey guys, I really think She-Hulk can beat the Hulk because I believe the woman is the strongest that there is. Like, by the way, hi ladies, how you doing? Ladies will smile and walk off. But now your boys are indignant and irate. You for real, my nigga? The Hulk is stronger than the She-Hulk. He even starts off stronger in their calm state, Now, if they both equally get angry, the Hulk's going to take advantage because he's going to automatically be stronger. She would have to get way more angry while he was still in his calm state. But once he starts getting angry, then he's going to pass her angry state, which means Hulk will always be strongest. Facts, my nigga. So, not to just lose out in the argument. I had to throw in something just to win the argument. Like, oh, yeah, well, She-Hulk is stronger than the Incredible Hulk every 28 days. Ha! You ain't gonna beat that. Even the Incredible Hulk won't touch that. The Hulk be like, Hulk strongest there is, but Hulk don't mess with that bitch. Every 27th day there'll be a town hall meeting. They be talking. You know what tomorrow is, right? Yeah. Pack your stuff and go. She-Hulk come around on the 28th day to an abandoned ghost town. 28th days, you're like, rah, rah. Where's everyone at? Rah. Hello? She-Hulk need people around to hear her bitch and complain. Rawr! 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 Guess She-Hulk just sit down and have some green chai tea and crochet tea cozies. And the Hulk was part of the Avengers. And the Avengers are based in New York. And I was always waiting to see that Avengers episode where the Avengers come to the Bronx. But I guess the writers didn't want to see the Avengers get jumped. Now, if the Hulk and She-Hulk were in the Bronx out in public, Someone in the Bronx would have instigated some drama between them. You see that? Hey, yo, son, yo, is that the Hulk? Oh, snap, yo, look up there. That's She-Hulk. Yo, ask them if they look for some weed. Tell She-Hulk, hey, yo, I got some stuff, that looks like her hair. She might like it. But the other guy was like, yo, I'm gonna hand you this. Yo, watch, yo, check this out. Like, yo, Hulk, yo, Hulk, yo, what up, son? Yo, you see She-Hulk over there? You see her walking into that room, close the door? Yo, she was talking about you, son. Yo, She-Hulk said she's stronger than you, my nigga. Yeah. She-Hulk says she's strongest there is. And Hulk be like, what? Hulk strongest there is. Hulk walk off and go into the room. Hulk, what you gonna do? Where you going, Hulk? What you gonna do? Hulk say, stay here. Hulk gonna smash. He's like all amped and excited, and the crowd's forming, and he's telling people like, yo, what's up? Like, yo, Hulk on there with She-Hulk, yo, Hulk gonna hit that, Hulk gonna get his groove back, Hulk said he gonna smash it, Now, if you ever heard or saw an Incredible Hulk fight, you'd believe that because he's always growling, he'd probably sound like he was having sex behind closed doors, Just behind closed doors, all you hear, take this, don't make me angry. You won't like it when it's angry. And the She-Hulk's like, oh yeah, Hulky, well, I've taken your best shots and you're already winded and you can't handle me, Hulky. Hulk be like, yo, Hulk don't go down alone. Hulk has friends. Avengers assemble. Now the instigators outside the doors like hyping it up like even more like, yo, she gonna do the whole crew. Yo, she gonna give it up to all the Avengers. Who gonna give it up? She-Hulk. Now there's a whole crowd that got their ears against the wall listening. There's different Avengers are showing up. Like, what happened here? Oh my God, She-Hulk, stop. She-Hulk, I don't want to hurt you with this. You need to give this up. Like, oh really, Hawkeye? You think you could hurt me with your little arrow? And the crowd's outside looking at each other. White boy, you Avengers can't handle me. Where's Iron Man? I want to face Iron Man. And the instigators out there like, yeah, Iron Man, she want that stamina. And someone in the crowd like, how come we don't hear from the Black Widow? Where's the Black Widow at? Well, obviously she's preoccupied with somebody, probably got something in her mouth, and I doubt it's Hawkeye, you know what I'm saying? Now, of course, this can only meet its peak when Thor arrives. Because you heard Thor talk, When Thor talks, it almost sounds like medieval Shakespearean dirty talk. You can see, She-Hulk, you saucy green-eyed wench. You dare defy me, troll. You want to witness pure Asgardian power? Bow down, or prepare to taste the thunder of Thor's mighty magic hammer. Mjolnir, to me! And the crowd's outside is like, who? But the instigator, he's like the hype man. It's like, yo, Thor brought his own chick to the party, yo. Yo, yeah, some exotic chick named Mjolnir, Man, the Avengers get down. But it's the friends, Friends, family concepts, I don't know. I guess my family's different, Like family's supposed to live within the same concept of cohesiveness. Like my family, it always has like a strong faith. Like all my sisters religious. My sister Kim is extra religious, Like she spent the night at my house, and in the middle of the night she yells out, hallelujah, And it's clear as day. She said in the middle of sleeping, she said, hallelujah, or Howard Hewitt. But see, my sister never liked Shalimar, so I knew it wasn't Howard Hewitt. You can't shake her faith. So much so that she had a brand new car and came into New York for the first time, which is probably the last time she's going to ever drive a car in New York. But she came to New York in a new car and gets sideswiped by a New York City cab, and end up breaking her hip. And sister, she's like, hey, the devil's just trying to test me, but I will remain strong. Because the accident didn't stop her, slowed her down maybe. But she went through grueling therapy and exercise sessions, using up all her sick days and vacation days, and went back to work. So then it was a while later, she came back to New York to go to Creflo Dollar's church, to get a healing on her hip, which was still painful. She's walking around talking and started running late. So she had the last bus to go home. She had to rush to catch the bus. So she gets to the bus and the bus is just about to pull off. And the driver sees her, of course it's a New York driver. and decided like he's not gonna wait. So no, he's getting to take off, and my sister's running, and she trips over this metal seat pavilion on a sidewalk and fell in front of the bus. So now the driver has to stop, because the last thing he wants to be thought of is a jerk and an accessory. So now she ended up breaking the other hip. And she became known as the only person to ever get injured leaving a healing. And it changed her life, It changed her walk. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's like, yo, it's a shame you don't like rap music, because with that current gait you walk with, you like look like the embodiment of hip hop. But my sister walks by faith, not by sight. Not that she didn't see where she was going, but 2 Corinthians 5:7. My sister never loses her faith. Like, my sister had her job for a while now, and she built up all this vacation and sick time. And, all of a sudden she had to start using it all because of these accidents, which is causing some friction between the supervisor. And the supervisor's like, well, you can't keep taking off so much time that you acquired. My sister's like, well, it's for therapy. So this became a constant form of contention between this supervisor and my sister. And my sister, wouldn't let her get it. Sister would pray and pray for her and go to therapy and pray for her and go to therapy and on and on. But for some reason, it began to fester with the supervisor, who wasn't appreciating my sister using her own time to heal. So it got to the point where the supervisor was like, look, you need to think about your job, as I know people higher up, and if you keep taking time off, we're not going to have time for you anymore. Like an ultimatum. And when she said that, the next day, this lady died, dropped dead. You know what the medical people refer to as a brain aneurysm, one of those words that people use to explain God's will, And I always kept saying, the supervisor knows people higher up. And I was like, no, my sister knows people higher up. In fact, my sister knows people who are higher up. You could even say the people my sister know are most high, And I tell people, I'm going to start telling this at the comedy clubs. People say, why would you do that? Because I'm going to tell the audience, hey, I'm telling you this because if you don't laugh, I'm going to tell my sister. Yeah, that's right. Fake it so you can make it. See, all my sisters are strong like that, Like no one dare would mess with my sister Missy, because people would tell her, like, do you know who that is? That's Big Mike's daughter. Like, what? You mean Grumpy? Yeah, I can hear the resemblance. But all my sisters had a strong relationship with God. It's almost like they would almost compete to see who loves the Lord more. Like on one Sunday, my sister Karen gets a call from our brother Shane asking if she can take him to the hospital. Now my sister's like, well, I can't right now because I'm about to go to church. And my brother's grimacing on the phone saying, I think I'm having a heart attack. I need to go to the hospital now. And my sister Karen is like, well, the service ends at 11. I can't imagine like my brother, like, you're not gonna help me. My sister's, of course I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna pray for you. And I'm thinking, like, you couldn't just take him to the hospital first. Like, you start thinking about all those helpful sayings that go through your head, like help those in need, reach one, teach one, leave a penny, take a penny. I mean, my sister Karen had a van, She could have just rolled with the door slit open and drove through the entrance, and he could have just rolled out without her having to stop. And if you ever seen my brother's head, you know how feasible that is. But I guess promptness is next to godliness. But it went to the first hospital. And I think the hospital was really nervous because, they didn't know what they could do. It was like, they was thinking like he's not getting oxygen to the brain, Because the nurse was like, oh my God, his brain is swelling. And someone had to tell him, no, that's just how his head looks naturally. Yeah, I'm not sure how natural that is, because as the story is told, that when my brother was 1 year old, my mother had this used car where the door would never open on one side until this one day she hits a pothole and the door flew open and my brother flew out the back of the car, and fell backwards. And she said it felt like the car ran over a tree. So my mother's scared. She's thinking like, oh, he must have been run over. So she's like, stop the car. She's praying. She jumps out and runs into the street. And she sees my brother on the side of the road crying with tire tread marks on his head. So the story is she ran over his huge head, but he was saved. And that's all that matters, is that he was saved. Now, the car, on the other hand, I mean, you always hear people talk about replacing shocks, but the transmission, I mean, my brother's head is powerful. I mean, you look at him now. I mean, now you can't really, but he really had to grow into his head. And as a kid like me, who was into comic books as much as I was, I thought my brother might have superpowers. I thought, reading the X-Men, I thought he might have like telekinetic brain powers. Maybe he's a mutant like the X-Men. Like you maybe be able to help the family out and pick out the number. But he'd be able to charm women, even as a little kid, with this big head on his infantile body. My mother would marvel how a grown woman would sit and carry a conversation with this little boy, because the family's like, oh, that's a little boy. But to these women, they thought he was just a smooth midget. So my mother had 4 kids before me, like way, way before me. And that gets expensive because they were all like 1 year apart. So like stuff like Halloween, to buy 4 complete costumes, that'd be costly. So what they do, they each get a mask, have to make the rest of their costumes. So my brother thought, to save money, he could just get a motorcycle helmet and be Evel Knievel, the motorcycle stunt performer back then. So he got this big motorcycle helmet and made a cape that he wore on this small body, this big helmet and a cape, and he's wearing green pants and a green turtleneck, and thought he was going to be Evel Knievel, and went to a Halloween costume contest and won first place. Now, of course, they didn't know he was supposed to be Evel Knievel. He won first place because they thought he was Gazoo the alien from the Flintstones. But my brother had always been the ladies' man. All the ladies liked my brother. I mean, even the shape of his head didn't dissuade the ladies from him. He'd embrace it. That became like part of his rap. Like, that's right, ladies, and what they say about guys with big heads. I'm like, what? Your shower cap's a pillowcase. But he was that smooth. Even despite his childhood nickname. Like my mother had a nickname for him. I know he was known as Doodles. She would call him, oh, my little Doodles. Started calling him that. She would call him that even in public. Was after a while began to like embarrass him. Being called that, and he told my mother that it was kind of embarrassing him. And my mother, being so magnanimous and understanding, she tried to help Shane out. And when she started calling him that, she started pronouncing that name with an L in it to make it sound different from what she was originally calling him. Yeah. Apparently, his diaper situation was legendary. But my brother has always been an inspiration, even when he was in school. I mean, if they build a time machine and go back in time and look in Shane's classrooms, he'd always look like he was ahead of the class, from the back row. I mean, even his science teacher was impressed with Shane, amazed. Shane's science teacher was so inspired by Shane that after his school tenure was up, he gave up teaching and started his own business. That's right. He invented 3D glasses because he was inspired by the presence of Shane. But I was just shocked that my brother, because he was too young to have a heart attack, And what caused the heart attack? Smoking. So now I get on soapboxes and tell everyone to give up smoking. And of course, that don't sit well with people. You tell people to give up smoking, you got to fight. Because people would defend it, Some people got excuses like, hey, I smoke e-cigarettes, so I'm healthy. These are electronic cigarettes, so it's good. Until years later, they find out they got digital emphysema. I don't trust any substitutional fix. I mean, look what happened when synthetic weed came out. How do you have people ODing off synthetic weed? I mean, it's weed. I mean, really, how bad is the weed if you have to take so much of it to start to feel a buzz that you die? So smoking or fake smoking, just give it all up, because you don't want this thing to get critical. And it became like a wake-up call for my brother. And I think it must have really terrified Shane, like scared him so bad that his hair turned white. My brother's hair is literally snow white now. He like Steve Martin with a tan. His hair is so white. The only person that is impressing is my Uncle Harry. My mother's brother calls my mother asking, "Yo, what is Shane's secret?" People wondering, does Shane dye his hair? Like, who would dye his hair that color? Brand new, just for men, just a touch of gray. Well, now it looks like he's using a touch too much. And it's not that it's white, it's just that it's a whole lot of white. I mean, the vast whiteness is encompassing, is just like taking over a whole amount of area space. It's kind of, it's kind of like when the airports close because there's snow on the runway. And, it almost looks like him and my mother use the same salon. Now, my mother, and I should have brought this up in the first podcast about getting older, but my mother has gotten older, and with the constant changes of technology, it's becoming an issue. Like when she first got a computer in 98, she go onto the internet, she had to click on the AOL icon. And once you get onto the icon, you get to the login screen and you type in your screen name and your password and you're on the internet. Well, no one uses AOL anymore except my mother. So now it's trouble getting on because now she goes to the internet provider and she types in the screen name, doesn't go anywhere. And thinks there's something wrong with the computer. She's like, oh, this wants to call Microsoft, Apparently my mother's too impatient, because apparently the internet's tripping. I'm like telling her, no, this is what you do. He's like, you go to Google and you type this. Then once you get to where you go, then you type in the password. My mother has no impatience because my mother keeps trying to call Microsoft, And I'm like, first of all, I'm trying to explain to her, like, you can't just type in your name. How does the internet know who you are if you just type in your name into Google? Like, you think you're Beyonce, Even if the internet knew who you were, maybe the internet has a fetish for the color purple, it's not going to know where you want to go. I said, look, you just I'm going to write this down exactly. You do this, then you type this in, and then I'll bring you to where you go. Then you type in the screen name and password. But my mother doesn't have time for that, So now my mother's like upset and she's like calling Microsoft and explaining that she has a problem with the computer. It's like the internet is broken, And, she's like, I can't get to my emails. What's wrong with you? And the instructions person is like, oh, you know how it sounds so mundane that you have to start from the beginning. Like you're past where they want you to start, but you have to start way from the beginning and follow a procedure, protocol. And I think these things are like made for my mother because when they speak to her mother, it's like Microsoft rep is like, okay, is your computer on? It's like, no, do you want me to turn the computer on? It's like, yes. You'd have to turn the computer on so we can repair it. Yeah, so just to ask you out of the blue, is the display monitor on? Oh, you mean the TV screen thing? No, but I could turn it on. Like, really? But I can just imagine this conversation all this happening because there's like, I can't log on to Wowcom. It's like, to what? Like, I'm trying to go to Wowcom. Like, are you saying welcome? Like, no, the website, Wowcom. It's like, is that a new website? I never heard of that. Like, would you mind spelling the website out? Like, yes, www.waolcom. Wowcom. And I'm pretty sure the phone was like, ma'am, that's www period AOL period com. So my mother's like, fine. Well, I'm not able to get on Wowcom. I think your internet is broken. He said, my son told me what to do. He told me that I go to Wowcom, so now I look stupid. And I'm like, good thing is my mother doesn't stutter, because then she'd probably still be having a conversation. I'm trying to get the like, hey, someone call Uncle Bob. I think Shirley's flooded. My parents, like my mother wants things her way. So much so, she tells stories of her childhood and growing up. Her crush was Harry Belafonte. So she married someone who looked like Harry Belafonte. Exactly, like a Native American Harry Belafonte who speaks like John Wayne. And I was like, what, did you just like both of their movies? It's funny, since being Native American, he could actually call the white man Pilgrim, and he has the authorization to do so. And a guy named Mike really loved golf, and so now I've learned I do not complain about golf anymore because I realize I'm in excellent athletic shape if you consider golf a pro sport. And how is golf a sport? Because nature can't play defense. Like if I want to hit the ball somewhere just to go get it myself to hit it away again, I might as well just play fetch with the cat. Golf and trouble logging in, that's something parents do. And speaking of which, I know about parenting now. I've actually went through the adoption process and made it official. I now have a cat. People say having a dog and a cat doesn't make you a parent. But if you have to go through an adoption process, it does. Because not only do you have to fill out the application or adoption, you have to wait, and then you have to be interviewed in person. You get a home visit. You got to show proof of employment, 2 references, non-family, and a letter from the landlord. You don't have to go through that to get a car. And these people don't know. People trying to say owning a cat doesn't make you a parent. They obviously never had to take a pet to the vet, because pets know. Like if you take your kid to the doctor, that kid may throw a tantrum the night before and a tantrum the day of. A cat becomes a skeptical a whole week before. You find yourself spelling out words to people in front of the cat. Like I made an appointment for the VET. My cat is Siamese, so I'm thinking he probably knows how to spell. That cat is smart. He certainly can tell time. He comes to me about eating at the same time every 12 hours. But when a pet has to go to the vet, they become like Jedi masters, and they can sense a disturbance in the force. Taking a cat to the vet is like trying to plan a surprise party that's going to involve violence. Surprise. First of all, like with my previous cat, my cat knew how to hide. Knew she was going to the vet, knew how to hide, and I had to go through each hiding space that she used in the past, like checking off under the bed, no, behind the crate of records, no, behind the toilet bowl tank, water tank, no, between the refrigerator and the wall, no. I had a checklist, but my cat would never use the same place twice. It's made it harder. Now I've done wasting an hour trying to find the cat. So now I got to call the vet and reschedule for a later time that day, and I get frustrated going through all this. And it's summertime, and it was hot too. And the only reason I found her because it was so hot that day that when I turned on the ceiling fan, she slipped off the fan blade and fell into my arms. That's how intense cats know how to hide. But that was only solving one part of it. It's virtually impossible for one person to put a cat in a pet carrier. It takes you getting some help. Problem is, my cat doesn't trust everybody, It trusts my mother, Like when I'm not home, I'm not able to go home. I can call my mother like, hey, can you make sure that you can go feed the cat for me? Because I'm not going to be home. Can you do that? Because cat trusts you. And my cat's used to her, but, she became docile with my mother. But you figure my mother helped getting my cat into a pet carrier, it'd be easy or wrong. It becomes the fight for your life to get a cat in a carrier. Because cats know how to put their paws out and with their claws extended and put it outside the box so they don't get their legs in. They know how to stretch their body out. And you try to grab the legs to curve it into the box, and the top part of the body is moving around. And I realized it's like the only way to get the cat in the carrier, you actually have to cover the cat's eyes. So then with their front paws, cover the eyes like bird box, which would only piss my cat off more because my cat would be mad at bird box. Actually, isn't it about caged birds? But, you cover the eyes, try to move your hands with their paws, and you just slide them into the cage and close the door quickly before they turn around. Then you get to deal with her upset in the cage, because they have this growling. It's not hissing, it's more like a guttural growling. Like I thought she was going to start singing some old slave cat spiritual. And walking down the street in this huge carrier, and she's jerking wildly in the box, and you hear this heavy growling, and you're trying to control the box. It just looks strange to people. You're like, what the hell? Did you trap a Tasmanian devil in there? They can't understand what it is, because the sound they hear, like, do you have a bobcat in there? I'm like, who? Oh, you mean Cuddles here? Here's the weirdest thing about it. I can never understand about going to the vet. As big of a stink that she made about going in the box and staying in the box, You get to the vet's office and open the box. Now she don't want to come out. And I'm like, oh, like, isn't this what you wanted before we left the house, was to get out of the box? Like, the doctor literally has to hold the cage upside down, but my cat knew how to hold up the body against the side of the walls, and so she wants to fall out. I literally had to dismantle the whole box to get her out. And now she's being examined and prodded, and she stays looking at me with her eyes low, and she's that guttural growl. And it's like, you did this to me. And when we get home, it's on. And she did that thing with her paws, with one paw, she pointed at her eyes and then my eyes and back to her eyes. So I was like, man, it's going to be a fight when you get back home. But here's the thing. Now, once the exam is over, I knew everything I had to go through to get her into the box. Exam is over. I open the box. She walk right in. Like, easy peasy. Like, what is this? Passive aggressive in reverse? Because the doctor has a hospital staff. It's like, I know we got a bunch of people to make sure you get in the cage now. Oh, now you like the cage. So I go home. I have to bring my mother with me to the vet. And because when we come back home, I was like, I'm going to need help getting my cat out. But now I figured to just prepare myself. And I open the cage. Cat runs out. And then I was hiding, I don't know where she is, but I know she's somewhere in the room because I can still hear her growling. Sound like she's somewhere seething, but I can definitely hear her, because it's more like angry displeasure sounds, almost like a cat was in heat but is mad about it. It's like she really wants to curse but don't know how to pronounce the words in English. But she made these like guttural sounds. It was like, and of course, my mother heard that, and right away she's thinking, well, I think your cat wants to get on the internet. Okay. So, of course, for now, that's all I have for now. This is part 2 of part 2. I'd like to thank you all for listening to the Gag Order Podcast, episode 2, part 2. It's all relative. I'd like to say thank you for stopping by. Please hit that like button. Even if you didn't, so what? Who's going to know? It'll be our secret. And please subscribe. But hit the like button to show the computer algorithms I'm relevant, even if no one knows who I am. But here's your chance to know me better. So subscribe to the channel. Leave comments. What are you afraid of? Improving my self-esteem? Like that's going to happen? But seriously, why not just be you? Be different. Subscribe like everyone else. Of course, by everyone, I mean myself. But you can change that. It's on you, America. My name is Drakey. I'm out.